Thank you. It's really been such a pleasure to spend some of the day with many of you and to have this meal together. And I just wanted to say, when Susan asked me if I would be willing to present 2 of the awards this evening, and she told me who I'd be presenting them to, I said, oh, Susan, yeah, twist my arm. That's going to be really hard. The 2 women who I have the honor of honoring this evening are 2 people whose work has really influenced my work, who I greatly admire. So it was an easy thing to say yes to. And before introducing the first of these awardees, I just wanted to say earlier tonight, at one point during the meal, I was texting back to my house where my husband's out of town and we have a family friend watching my 2-year-old daughter. So I was texting back and I got the dinner report that apparently she snubbed her nose at the sweet potatoes, but she went for the eggplant, the bell pepper, a little bit of brown rice, and for dessert, the gala apples. And save for the brown rice, I realized that everything that she ate tonight came from our CSA farm, about an hour and a half away from our apartment in Brooklyn. And so I was texting back and forth about her dinner, and I just, I thought about that. I thought about all of you in this room, and I just wanted to sort of thank all of us, that you are helping make possible the ability for me to feed my child well, to feed my next child well, and to think, just a few years ago, would I have been able to get this food from a farm an hour and a half away from Brooklyn, New York. So thank you for all the work that we're doing to make this food real. So our next honoree, it's fitting that we bring her into the picture now, is fighting for all of our country's kids. And as you can see, that's a cause that at this moment I'm particularly passionate about. She's been long dedicated to exploring the roots of poverty and hunger and how these roots are interconnected. Sociologist Jan Poppendieck has distinguished herself by offering ways of thinking about how we could end these problems, not just lessen them. She takes the long view. She takes a proactive approach. Her books, Sweet Charity, Emergency Food, and the End of Entitlement, and Breadlines, Knee-Deep in Wheat, Food Assistance in the Great Depression. These 2 books are required reading, as far as I'm concerned, on the bookshelf for anyone who wants to understand our food system. What's wrong with it? How could we make it right? In her most recent critically acclaimed book, Free for All, Fixing School Food in America, Jan proposes the radical, yet I would offer very highly sensible idea that we should have a government mandate to provide nutritious, free school lunch and breakfast to every single child in this country. Yes. And that in doing so, we help to address hunger, we help to address obesity, we improve education. And that when you consider that there are 31 million meals consumed every day in the National School Lunch Program, Jan stresses that reforming school lunch has the potential to transform the sustainability of our entire food system. Free for All has been compared to Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, doing for school food reform today what The Jungle did for food safety regulation at the turn of the century. Jan is an activist, an educator, a brilliant thinker whose work has deeply influenced me and countless others. So it is my deep honor to present the James Beard Foundation Leadership Award to Jan Poppendieck.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks to the James Beard Foundation for this award. I think you have the imagination to realize what a thrill it is for me to be on this list with the folks who've been recognized tonight. And a special thrill for me to receive recognition from the culinary community, because you have a certain clout, a certain cachet. I think Karen said it this morning when she talked about the power of the James Beard brand. you have a potential to influence thought in this country. It's not just that we think from our stomachs and our taste buds, but that there is a recognition of the art that you have brought to meals and to shared pleasures of food. And so it's special for me to have this award. If I were to try to thank all of the people who have helped me write my books, we'd be here for a long while, and actually we've already been here for quite a while. So I'm going to restrict myself to thanking my husband, who's here tonight, Woody Goldberg, who has been my best supporter. Writing a book is always a struggle, and I think there are other people here who've had this experience and they'll know what I'm talking about. And say, if you want to know all the other people who should be thanked, you can buy the books and read the acknowledgments. But they did tell me that I would have 2 minutes. And my 2 minutes I took in the context of the concerns of the day to talk about money and media. The conference, for those of you who weren't able to be here today, has been really terrific. I mean, a first-rate intellectual engagement and a style of human interaction that I've really enjoyed. But I want to talk about money for a minute, because what I think is not sustainable in our society is what's been happening to our income distribution in America. In the mid-40s, when the National School Lunch Act was passed, and I was born, we began a process of growing together. And in our society, we grew together until the early 1970s, which means if you look at the income in layers, in quintiles, as economists often do, everyone was better off, but the bottom was getting better off faster than the top, and so we were growing together. But that process began to reverse in the early 1970s, and we have been growing apart at a fully unsustainable rate. We are coming apart in this country. So the first thing I want to say in my 2 minutes is that chefs and the culinary community has to use your voice to address this fundamental coming apart of our society. It's certainly reflected in the food system, but it's pervasive. And the second thing I want to say is that I do believe that school food offers us an opportunity to begin growing together again. Anna talked about some of the arguments, and I won't go over them again, but I will say briefly there are two that I think need special attention. I have been thrilled by Chefs Move to Schools, by Wellness in the Schools here in New York, by Cooking with Kids, and the work of School Food Focus, and all the efforts to bring the wisdom and the love of food that you represent to the children in our school systems. If we had universal free school meals, which is only a matter of changing the way we pay for school food. I do understand that there's no free lunch, okay? But how we pay for it, that's a social choice we make, and we have another option. And if we were to move to universal free school meals, we could integrate school food with the curriculum. We could get rid of the stigma, which now poisons the meals for some of the kids who really have to rely on it and deters other kids from making use of them. But also, we would move from a situation in which the advertisers of children's food are driving the menu, because food service directors, and if there's a group I ought to thank, it would be all the food service directors who spent time with me when I worked on Free for All. Food service directors have to keep their customers. And so they have to, or believe they have to, serve kids' favorite foods. And kids' preferences are shaped by, oh, did we do money and media? By the media, and not the media that you would create. Okay, so if we could move to universal free school meals, and I think about the stories we heard today about the Coalition of Immokalee Workers working for 20 years to get that agreement for the extra penny a pound, or Growing Power, and it's nearly 20 years. We have time frame here. We can be patient and grow this idea. But when we have universal free school meals in America, we will have an opportunity for the values that I've heard here today of sustainability, of joy in food, of shared taste and exchange, and the conviviality of eating together to be the norm in our schools, and we can raise a new generation to really appreciate the work that you do and the work that we're all trying to do to make our planet sustainable.